All right, music fans, welcome back. Harmless Dave here, talking real music in real time for real people just like you and just like me. So, Wolfgang Van Halen has released a new track. It's called You're to Blame. It's from his forthcoming album, Mammoth WVH. Again, I know there are some Van Halen folks, hardcore supporters of Van Halen, who not nutty about the name, and I've done videos about this before. If you can get over that issue and you can be open-minded about what he's doing, I think you'll be in a better place as far as expectations go on this record. The production value is real strong. One thing we learn about Wolfie right away is that he can sing. This isn't just somebody trying to sing. He really has a great voice, and I think that surprised me more than anything. His dad obviously sang mostly background vocals with Van Halen, so we didn't really always get Ed at full strength on the microphone because he was busy, especially in the latter years. He and his son were trying to make up, and in the old days it was Michael Anthony, but they were really trying to make up for what Dave was sounding like on those last couple of tours, which especially on the last one, I thought was a bit painful. Not as bad as Dave's solo work, but still fairly painful. The band has a logo, which is cool. You want to brand everything when you're starting out, even if you don't like what that looks like. It is a brand. And the album cover is kind of interesting because I'm thinking of maybe Blue Oyster Cult here, like a Godzilla theme, or Pink Floyd with the dude standing here, just kind of looking on as the destruction ensues. And then there are some cars down below. Of course, the mammoth here looks like a crab, doesn't it? Looks like like a crab gone mad. Maybe a genetically modified crab. Anyway, one thing that I think is interesting is Wolf has this relationship with Twitter. It's a love-hate relationship, but apparently it's such an important relationship that he's partnering with Twitter to help promote the album. So he's going through social media channels. This is why no matter how many times you try to offend him over there, he's going to hang out, because I think he believes it to be a plus rather than a minus. I know a lot of rock musicians are over on Twitter, just being positive for the most part, unless you're Gene Simmons or Paul Stanley and you're yelling at your fans and so forth, because you've alienated half your fan base with your political views and so forth. Wolf isn't doing that. He's not really interested in talking about those things. He's trying to promote this album, and I wish him the best. I don't know if it's a long-term strategy. In fact, I don't even know if his career is a long-term thing. And here's why I say that. Now, hopefully I'm not going to offend people by saying this. But once the novelty of him being Wolfgang Van Halen wears off a little bit, it might be really difficult for him to move forward. I'm thinking of like Julian Lennon. If you remember, at first, Julian Lennon, when that first album came out, people were like, okay, it's like his dad, it's the second coming. And the thing that Julian had going for him was his vocals sounded like his father's vocals. Now, because Ed didn't sing, and obviously Wolf can't play guitar like his dad, but maybe he plays fairly proficiently, there's not going to be that same sort of long-term effect of the family name. But Wolf does have an opportunity to kind of carve out his own niche, and that's really what he's been saying all along. But he does get backlash and resistance from people who say, hey, just fire up the Van Halen machine again, get in there and drive it, you can be the guitarist, and so forth. And long term, that's not really a great strategy either, if he were to even think of it, and he's been rejecting that strongly. because both Dave and Sammy are long in the tooth, and unless you're going to recruit Mitch Malloy back in or Gary Cherone, and you're going to take things maybe in a slightly different direction, everybody's getting up there in years, and you're seeing more and more bands that are either retiring or cashing out their fortunes. All the songwriting stuff. It's I don't know. I think his best strategy is to just continue going forward with his new stuff, and to try to convince those who might be a little on the fence and may not like his new song's called You're to Blame, and it's power pop. It's got a very 90s vibe to me, and as you know, I'm not a big fan of the 90s, but it still has elements of pop and hard rock, and it's melodic, and he sings well. So I liked Distance, the first song that he came out with, more than You're to Blame, but if this is kind of where the music's at, he could get some radio airplay. He could get some radio airplay, and what's interesting is it truly isn't like, I mean, when he says he's not trying to copy Van Halen, at least musically speaking, he's not. Now, we can argue about the name and so forth of the band, and I'm, again, not a huge fan of that, but that's what he decided to do. He got his dad's blessing, and this is it. So, in any event, Wolfgang Van Halen forging his own path in the world, and we'll see how it turns out.